Hello and welcome. My name is Christopher Hofman, and I work at Inbound CPH. We are a digital agency here based in Copenhagen, Denmark. And today on this talk, I have with me Heather Physioc. I will let her in just in a while so she can explain everything about what she's doing. I know right now we are in Kansas City and it's early morning in the US, so I'm very happy that Heather wants to join us this early. Anyway, if you want to ask questions, if you want to just say hi in the chat, it would be great. So I know that you are out there. Before I just introduce Heather, I just want to make a quick advertisement commercial here. If you're working on SEO at the moment as a project in your company, we at Inbound CPH, we can do a potential analysis, which will help you understand the potential in your market. So just write to me in the chat or DM if it's something which is interesting for you. But without further ado, I will let in Heather. Welcome to the show, Heather.
Hello, thanks for having me on.
Great to have you here. I think it's been is it 1.5 months ago since we met up in Poland, right?
That sounds about right. About 6 weeks ago, we were speaking on stage at SEO Vibes Poland 2024.
Excellent. It was great fun because I knew you as with many other issues. I knew you online, and so it was great to meet you in person. Actually, it's no secret that I've read a lot of your blog posts in the past, and especially about connecting, you can say, SEO and the customer journey, which I think is super interesting. No matter what digital discipline you're working with, or no matter what you're working with in marketing, we all have in common that we have clients, and we all need a kind of a basic framework for everyone to understand it in the organization. So thank you for the inspiration over the years.
Thank you for reading it. It's so nice to know that when we do this extra work in the industry to share what we're seeing, that somebody actually reads it and gets value out of that. So that makes me very happy.
Excellent. And that's also why you're here today, because I thought, okay, am I the only one who should get all this knowledge for myself, or should I actually invite you on this link live in order for more people actually to be aware about search journey mapping, which is I suppose your framework, your way of seeing the customer journey?
Yeah, very, very true. I mean, it's a helpful tool to talk about our search work in the context of larger marketing. It's a very simple way to illustrate how people are searching and where people are searching. So it's proved to be a very valuable conversation to tie search to customer journeys.
Yeah. And as we also talked about in Poland, I'm doing my own thing with customer journey mapping with Google data. So you can say this, I think it's the same school of thought, but maybe a little bit different approach, a different approach to it. But I think it's methods which can inspire each other and only strengthen even more the understanding of the customers or prospects out there.
Sure. And I would say there's probably no one way to do a journey, right? There's probably many different ways that could come to life, and it probably depends on the kind of brand you're working on, or the customer and who they are and what they want, or what the specific need is that they're trying to solve. So I think that could change from one client or journey to the next. But yeah, we can learn from all of these different customer journey models and make our work stronger through that.
And I think as an intro, could you give me some words about yourself? I know you are in Kansas City, right, at the moment?
That's true. I'm in Kansas City, Missouri, which is right in the middle of the map in the center of the United States. I'm Heather Physioc, and I'm Chief Discoverability Officer at global agency VML. We have about 120 discoverability and search experts in a dozen markets around the world. And we work mainly on enterprise, Fortune 500, multinational type brands, some of the biggest brands in the world across all different verticals. So we get to see a lot of different angles of search and customer journeys through our work.
Yeah. And what I actually explained, one of the reasons why we are here today is because it's super relevant regarding that, it's not only Google when we talk about search, right? So
Right.
we should talk about universal search today. And perhaps you could elaborate a little bit on your talk from Poland regarding, why is search the most exciting thing right now in 2024 after, since 1997 or when we started out using the search engines.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in search since not quite 97, but 2008, which is just as Google was becoming the biggest website on earth. So the whole premise of my talk about search journeys is that even though Google has made up more than 90% of global market share of searches around the world, at least as we understand a traditional search engine, so search engine experts like ourselves have focused almost entirely on Google. But my talk argues that that's greatly limiting our view of our customer, our understanding of their complete journey. Because when people are searching, they don't just stay in a single lane or a single platform like Google. They're weaving in and out of different platforms and engines and social media sites, all to find and collect different kinds of information depending on where they're at in the journey. So I wanted to challenge myself and my business, our industry, to think a little bit bigger and more unconventionally about search, not as a platform discipline, like we are Google experts, but rather as a people discipline. We're experts in parsing out data and information to understand people and what motivates them and how they make decisions. And that's a mindset. Search is a mindset, not a platform. It's something that people do that we can understand and help brands connect to. So I hope that talking about search journeys will help us kind of shift how we think about search into this more future forward and future proofed way of thinking about search behavior.
Yeah, that's a valid point. And I think we'll go directly to your tool in a minute in order to maybe we can talk from there about how to understand the user. I just have a small anecdote. I have a former colleague who has an affiliate site, and we always talk Google when we talk organic traffic. He actually showed that he was getting more traffic from Bing and DuckDuckGo than from Google. I've never seen anything like that before. So, of course, one thing is, talking about TikTok or other social platforms when it comes to search, but even when we talk about the traditional search engines, there are shifts happening at the moment.
Yeah, and I'm certain that Google isn't going away tomorrow, right? Like search is still going to be the #1 driver of traffic for the foreseeable future. So I'm certainly not suggesting that we don't focus on that or stop focusing on that, but rather that we're bringing more information, a richer understanding of our customer into that Google experience, but also thinking about how social media sites or commerce platforms or local things are all integrating with that website touch point. Yeah, so it's super interesting to me to hear that Bing and DuckDuckGo are surpassing Google. Now, in that particular case, is search still the main driver of traffic? Search as we know it?
Yeah, good question. So I will start out here with actually showing the search journey map that you presented in Poland, and I know everything is in here at once. Maybe we can maybe I think one of the next slides. I think you just showed one. You're muted, Heather. I can't hear.
Go forward one slide, and you'll get the part with the box around it.
Exactly. So maybe you will take us. Maybe you will take us through a search journey map. I think this is for anybody on the call. I mean, this is a super interesting tool in order for you to actually do your daily work, understanding what your prospects and what your users are going through.
Absolutely. So when you look at the whole thing, the whole journey map, it's a really powerful tool to map our search data and our insights and simplify those customers' needs at these different steps and need states along their journey. And so all of our search data should support that layout. So while I talk to my clients about it from the top down, strategy downward. We're actually building this from the data upward. So just keep that in mind as a marketer. But I find that overall, this tool is really helpful to align search to bigger marketing objectives, to campaigns, to target audiences, to media plans. And so using this tool helps us work with our clients to prioritize which platforms are worth their time and energy, and to understand how they can be discovered there. And so even though this looks kind of like a straight line, we know that customers can search and enter this journey at any point along the journey. So basically the way this thing breaks down is at the top is the what, which is the main step in their journey. Next is why they search. Next is where, and then how. And so what we're looking at now is where we take that first step of breaking the customer thought process down into a series of smaller steps, whether it's just recognizing they have a need or seeking inspiration or preparing to buy and purchase. But then the moments that trigger a search could vary greatly depending on your brand or your price or your sales cycle. And that's nonlinear, and that searcher can come in at any point. So this search journey map allows us to really simplify one core journey and figure out how to reach customers at every point along that.
So what the point you're also trying to make here, this is not an SEO map. This is like a map for your digital presence, right?
I would argue it is very search specific because this is very focused on the search mindset, but I agree with you. It's not an SEO tool. It's a marketing tool, right? Because we can, as we're talking about, we can pull information beyond just Google, and we can start to get insights into how people are searching on Pinterest and TikTok and Instagram. We have a pretty good idea of how people are searching on Amazon and Walmart, for example. So as we pull more information into this, it's still focused on what they're searching for or how they're navigating those platforms. But it's not SEO, it's not Google, it's not website search journey. It's a whole search journey.
Yeah, this is also about, the search specialist. This is the social media manager. I mean, it's everybody should be interested in this kind of mapping.
Absolutely. And we're doing a lot more with social search these days in partnership with our social department. So this has been a really great tool just to show how those things play together: social search versus commerce search versus traditional search.
Do you build these maps together with your clients, or how is the work process?
Great question. So historically, more often than not, we are just using this as a different way to visualize traditional keyword research data. All the things that all of us search experts already know how to do, digging into that data, understanding what people search for and why and how often and where, and then processing it and analyzing it, interpreting it for the client through this journey map and illustrating it to the client using this map. That said, there are some clients that have a ton of really valuable knowledge about their customers and that customer experience that is equally valid to work into this map. So I wouldn't rule it out. It's just not the most common way that I find that we're doing the work.
Perfect. And are there some qualitative interviews also? Is this also something that you can add to the mix?
I would argue that this could certainly incorporate qualitative insights, although one thing to point out is that because this is just one mindset, the search mindset on the customer's journey, we also need to consider that the customer's journey is much bigger than search as well. So more often than not, I find that we're folding this search journey map into a larger customer journey rather than folding more into the search journey. It's the humility of recognizing that we are part of something much bigger, a bigger marketing mix, and that the client is likely not focused exclusively on search.
And what is the client's reactions when you show these kind of maps? Because I think everybody is like Google first, and now you suddenly come out and say, hey, it's actually about YouTube, it's about Pinterest and whatever. What's the reaction?
In general, it's been very not surprisingly positive. It's always been very positive, but just like surprisingly, it just makes sense to the clients. Like they see it and they immediately understand what I'm trying to tell them. Whereas before, if we just showed them kind of raw search data, or it just didn't click, the big picture didn't click. So I think that this search journey map has been very validating for our clients as well. I think most of our clients are across multiple marketing specialties, not just search, oftentimes not even just digital. So I think that they innately know that it's not just search, and social is important, and this is important, and that is important. But I think that it's harder and harder for them to keep track of all that. It's harder to see how it all connects. But when we show them this journey, we are showing them where and how it connects, and how a customer engages differently or uses different platforms at different points. And so that thread that connects it all, it's like very reassuring for the client. They're going, yes, this is what I mean. We're not just focusing only on Google. I want you guys to be thinking about more. So it's been a really great conversation starter.
Yeah, I can imagine. I think also, if we just think about ourselves as users and we only see Google data, we're also like, okay, I'm not only on Google, I'm actually in a lot of other places. So this is also a way of just, activating the thoughts of how are you actually as a client acting, right? I mean, it reflects much better what our real behavior is. I think there's a point here also, Heather, regarding using this as a communication tool.
Yes.
Opening up. It's not only it's an insights tool. It's a way to understand how can we actually the first step of doing a marketing mix. But it's also definitely a way for more people to get involved, right?
Absolutely. I mean, it's taking really technical concepts and making it very human, which is easy to understand. It's easy to discuss. It's easy to strategize around. It's really been quite powerful. Now, I'd love to hear, I understand that you talked about a search journey in Poland as well, or a journey in Poland as well. How is this different or similar than what you do? Do you see any things that you also do, or things that you would do totally differently?
Yeah, I mean, one thing is definitely, as you say, this thing about taking a discipline like SEO and trying to spread out in the organization, right? That's what I see. It's really key to get everyone on board. I mean, as you say, the alternative is to show columns and rows in an Excel spreadsheet of search volume, keyword difficulty, and all this which is quite difficult to comprehend, right? I mean, and it doesn't put the client or the user in the center. So I would say that this is definitely a great way to get everyone on board from the beginning. But it's I mean, I focus on Google data. So this for me is very inspiring. This is like a next step, I would say, with maybe a missing link in some of the work that I'm doing. But it does the same thing. It translates user data into something which is feasible. So and then
I think we are, as an industry, we're really good about talking about search, but we're not as good at talking about how we talk about search, right, with our clients. And so having resources like this to have real human dialogue with their customer at the center, it changes everything, doesn't it?
Yeah. I think SEO. I mean, SEO is there's so many people in the SEO industry, but I find that it's many times very engineer driven. So it can be very overwhelming, and sometimes you have to get into the role of trying to translate what's actually going on, because you need everyone on board when you're doing a SEO project, especially in larger companies where you really have to avoid bottlenecks, and bottlenecks can be created when people do not confide in a project, when they can't identify with that project, and there's so many other things they could do instead, right? So I think this is really an important part of this, instead of really over-engineering SEO.
What an interesting point. I mean, I wonder how this could, I use this primarily with clients, but it can also be a useful internal tool to get our peers and other disciplines on board, to help them see how their work supports that customer need, to see where it fits into the big picture. Yeah, I totally see the value of using this.
Yeah. So let me, let me just try to show you my method here, just for.
Please, I would love to see it.
So basically, what I'm doing is basically that I have my funnel here of all different stages, the classical AIDA model, and then the post-purchase stage. And what I'm basically trying to do with this funnel is actually say, okay, what is the target of what is it that the client wants to obtain? So what is the goal here? And so usually, what is it that wants to sell? So in this case, it's a Danish company wanting to sell carpet tiles in the UK for a defined group, architects. So what I'm doing is basically saying, okay, what are all the search intents that I can identify with the use of Google data in order to understand what goes all the way down the funnel when you search on Google. So I'm basically putting in bubbles, you say, in this funnel. It's very subjective, it's very, it's just me putting in where I think that people are searching. So the further
So does
down,
the bubble represent like the size of the prize or the available search demand at that stage of the journey or funnel?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the size of the bubble is the relative search volume. So there are what I'm saying is there are 104,000 searches yearly in the UK for carpet tiles, just the main keyword. And I'm giving, depending on my client's performance, I'm giving them a color. So if they rank outside the top 10 right now, it's a red color, alarm. If it's yellow, then it's from rank 4 to 10, and if it's green, then we're all good. It's in the top 3. So everything I have on the right side is basically keywords, including it's a little bit slow here, but okay. So what I have here, everything I have in here, that these are search intents, including the keyword carpet tiles. So you have you have like, let me see here a little bit. You have like patterned carpet tiles, 1,200 searches per year. We're doing quite well. We're ranking number 2. And then we have luxury carpet tiles. We're not ranking very well. And then trying to cluster all these together. Because sometimes we have content gaps. Sometimes it's not strategically interesting for us. But we really get a sense of urgency because we know everything in here should actually be green. That's what we want to obtain. This is like the gamification idea of trying to own a subject, right?
Yeah, the red, yellow, green really makes me want to flip them green.
Yeah,
I feel motivated to do that. Well, what I like that you did here is you started broad just to get them oriented, and then you drilled down even further to get more specific about the topics and categories where they're winning or losing or lagging or not showing up at all. I think that's really easy to understand. And if I were the client, I would be able to look at this and say, okay, I want to focus right here, right now, and get big gains there. And then I want to move on to something else.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the idea is also here to say, okay, this is everything which is happening. Now let's get to work and let's start from the lower funnel and go backwards, right? I mean, let's get everything in order regarding the checkout where people are ready to buy something. Let's make sure that we answer all the clients' questions here in the post-purchase stage. And then, of course, if you go back and you do all this content work, using link building, you can actually also start to work on what you say, the bridge towards the solution, right? All the what I call the symptom queries. So everything which indicates.
What do you mean by that? What is symptom queries?
It's you can say it's queries on Google which are not solution based, right? But it's something like, if you're looking, let's for instance something like office flooring ideas, that's definitely a symptom that I want to do an interior design of my office. So it could lead you to carpet tiles. So we're actually just trying to understand what is the bridge, what is the life event which will make us go into the solution mode of carpet tiles. Now, of course, this can go in any direction. I mean, carpet tiles is just one of many solutions. But I mean, as you know, also when you work with customer journeys, the further back we can help out a prospect, in the stronger is the awareness of the future client when they're selecting who to go with, right? So I think it's a super important area, and it's also a way for us to boost our topical authority.
It's interesting what you were saying about like anticipating the things earlier in the funnel that are gonna either bring them in or keep them from coming in, whatever that is. It made me think of this really interesting example. It's for a consumer appliances brand, and they were launching an all new line of black stainless steel appliances. And there was this interesting overlap between that early, I just now realized I need a new stove search versus the really late, I've already bought a black stainless steel stove. Now I need to know how to clean and maintain it, or I need to know if it scratches. Those questions that we would typically have assumed were downstream owner questions, we figure are also potential purchase objections or blockers. If it's difficult to clean, if it scratches easily, the customer wants to know that before they buy it, because that's an expensive purchase. So kind of funny how a piece of content that's intended for way down the funnel can also be very useful way up the funnel.
That's really interesting. That's like understanding what are the future pains of owning this product. That's
exactly. Yeah.
But I think it's also when you're mapping out the customer journey, you're just trying to paint a black and white picture of what they're going through, but you can't really know where are they going through this. I mean, there's so many different buyer journeys.
Yeah, and this journey is absolutely oversimplified, right? That's the point, to make it really simple and easy to understand and black and white so you can act on it.
Yeah.
But it's going to be imperfect.
Yeah.
It's going to change depending on where that customer enters. Not everybody goes through one gateway and then another in an orderly fashion.
Yeah.
So you have to take those things into account, but taking that complicated information, making it really simple allows you to get to the action faster. Measurable, provable action.
Yeah, and that's also where the customer journey comes in handy, because in your black stove example, if you don't understand the customer journey, you will actually just go very hard on the money pages for black stove.
We would have focused totally on product detail pages had we not identified these questions. That this was an all new category of product too, so it was kind of challenging just because there wasn't a ton of black stainless steel demand at the time, but it was still quite insightful.
Yeah. Now I know, just in our pre-talk, I think we both shared a lot of we like B2B industries, and especially if they're a little bit complicated to understand the products.
Love it.
And that's also where I think that's where you really have to understand what is the bridge between a need, an unmet need, and suddenly a solution, right? So that's also where it makes a lot of sense to understand, where is my customer at the moment, and what is I keep repeating myself, but actually what is the life event which will provoke them to go out and search actively for our solution. And I just saw a presentation here by Dream Data where they had actually understood that we might use Google Analytics to understand where did the user come from, but actually what they're saying is that when they contact you, they've already been on a 192-day active journey to find out that they need this solution. So where are we actually? Maybe those 150 days where they're actually where we are not part of the conversation, right? So that, yeah. Any thoughts on that part?
Totally, and totally agree. B2B is awesome. I love the complexity as well, but I think I just like business, I guess. Yeah, well, where was I going with that? I lost my train of thought. So B2B, when I think about this, I'm thinking about brands where before anyone ever talks to a customer service rep or ever requests information on a website, they have done so much research in other places or elsewhere online before initiating that contact. People, especially in B2B, want to self-serve first. They don't want their time wasted. They don't want to get chased by salespeople. They want to get down to business and get what they need, right? So B2B especially, we see that people are doing that research. High dollar purchases, we see people are doing that research before ever entering that funnel. I guess that's just illustrating further importance of your funnel, where you showed all that demand is actually up front. But another industry where this happens is something like the insurance industry. So we know that about 3/4 of shoppers are using insurance brand websites and aggregators, and they research information and compare options and get quotes, diving deep into all these digital resources on their own before they ever talk to a live agent to buy some sort of insurance package. But the other thing that I think about when I think about B2B journeys or any circular journey, insurance is actually a great example, is so your journey and my journey that we showed, those seem to have like a finish line. And that's not reality for a lot of brands. Like once you make the purchase, the transaction or the relationship is not over. So if we think about the nature of like an insurance and financial services customer, it might begin with research and education, and then they compare, and then they make a decision and make a purchase. But hopefully they would also later expand their portfolio of financial and insurance products with our company. And so the types of content we use at each stage to serve those searcher needs may vary. So for example, if a new client is onboarding, maybe we have startup guidance, checklists, training content to help them maximize the B2B platform they just invested in. Or if they're already a software B2B customer, we may want them to consider more of our products or add-ons to their software or downloads that come with the software. So we might want to share more informative content about how their different products and services interact for greater benefit to the customer. But to decide whether that content should exist and where and how it lives, we have to leverage the audience and data-driven insights that we talked about on that search journey map to provide that content strategy.
So a full education track which can show up at any point of where the user is, and typically if they're already an existing client and they actually are not aware of the potential of going deeper into the service that the company offers. I also see a point with B2B that actually you can go in the wrong direction. You can be led to the wrong solution, because I mean many B2B companies are engineers and they love to talk about their solution, and that also reflects the website, and they're not so much into the understanding the symptoms or alternative solutions, and they're not good at explaining that actually now you're going in the wrong direction. So I think that's also very important, that especially for these big purchases, big decisions that B2B does, you can really use Google actually, or you can use search. Now we're getting a little bit, we talk too much about Google maybe, but you can really get a chance to educate them about the right solution for them. And so that's let me go back to the search journey map, because this was also like big part of it. What are you actually doing as a next step? Now you have the map. I mean, I'm curious to know what is actually like we've let me just check here. We've mapped out everything. What is the natural step afterwards?
This is why I love your funnel and search demand bubbles is because that's the data behind this, right? So carving out which of these sections we can compete for, that has adequate demand to be worth our time, that aligns with the brand's larger objectives or campaigns at the time. So this is where we get into classic search work that we all know how to do. If we've got this tool, we've talked with the client about it, and we agree that the biggest opportunity for now is in that purchase stage. Maybe they don't show up well there today. They're a red bubble, according to your graph, for certain sets of terms that we know are important for their business. And we want to start there within the third-party retailers like Walmart, Amazon, and Target. So really, it's taking this overview and carving out a very specific thing that we should go after first. And that degree of focus will help us be able to measure effectiveness on that. And then, you started with the conversion, for example, on that journey, and then maybe work backward from there. Other clients may have different objectives, and that will influence which part we carve out and start with. But from here, we might take that search data and decide we need to create web content, or we need to work with third-party partners to place external content, or maybe we decide TikTok and Instagram are the real winners for this business. So we need to go work with our social team, who are the experts in how to create content for that platform. But we might consult on how to make sure that content is discoverable inside and outside that platform.
So you also start, or what I'm hearing is you're focusing more on the lower funnel to start with, or where do you is that the natural place to start, or
if that's the business's goal, right? Because I do have some brands where a conversion is not the objective. Again, I'm working with big multinational Fortune 500, so we also get a lot of branding, awareness, and campaign type work. So it may not be a conversion. It may be a Super Bowl commercial for the local quick service restaurant chain. And if that's the case, really local search might be our objective, or maybe just brand lift in Google Trends might be our objective. So you have to take into account more than just the SEO or digital objective when you're prioritizing what to execute on.
And it's also interesting.
But often, yes, the answer is often. If the brand has a conversion or a sale, that is often where we start if the brand is not already performing extremely well there.
That's also what's interesting that you're saying about Amazon or another marketplace. I mean, in Denmark we have a big online supermarket called Nemlig, and I remember one of the big beverage manufacturers. What their aim was to understand how could they rank at the top when you do an internal search at Nemlig. What are and this is like SEO, right? I mean, this is also SEO, trying to understand how can I rank on a website, right? I mean, so where's, and I think that's what we get here. We're not getting the screwdriver, go and rank on Google. We're getting the whole toolbox, and we're trying to find out what should I use, the screwdriver or the hammer, or
what is the best tool for the job?
Yeah, exactly. What do I have at my disposal here? And it doesn't necessarily mean it's the good old traditional search engines. It might be TikTok, or it might be an internal search engine at Amazon, or it might be something else, Pinterest, whatever. If you're doing luxury designer kitchens, I mean, Pinterest is a good place to start, as if I remember one of my cases well. So
that's a great point, Christopher. Do you think we should talk at all about the role of different searchable platforms? Because you and I have made the argument here that even things that are not traditionally called search engines have search features or search functions, or trying to compete as search engines. We know TikTok's trying to take a bite out of Google's Gen Z audience. Maybe we go to the role of searchable platform slide. It's like 33 or 34.
Oh, yes. Good. Yeah. Let me just run through this.
Because I think that starts to illustrate how we think about those platforms as search engines. What behaviors are people likely to do? How are they likely to search in these places that's different from one to the next?
Yeah.
So for example, if someone's on like a TikTok or Instagram doing a social search, it's pretty likely that they're looking for, content, entertainment, people, inspiration, trends, all in this like social communal environment. Whereas if they're on an Amazon, Walmart, or your local retailer, clearly they're there to do some shopping and some product research and comparison, and maybe look at ratings and reviews. There's a very high intent to purchase.
Which one was it? Was it this 31? Was this one?
Yeah, that's
all
right there.
Excellent. Yeah.
So this is one way to think about it. Like, these are all the different searchable spaces in different ways that people could search. Whereas on the next slide, I kind of flipped it to think about search intent first. If someone is seeking information, they might turn to Google, Bing, Yahoo, etc. If someone's seeking recommendations, depending on the industry or product, they might turn to YouTube or Yelp or TripAdvisor or Reddit. Whereas if someone's trying to brainstorm and synthesize information, they may go to a ChatGPT, Gemini, or Perplexity to fill in the gaps in their knowledge and organize what they've learned. So understanding that searcher intent and where they might turn to complete tasks like that when they are triggered to search gives us a pretty good idea of which places to look to piece together our search journey map.
Yeah. So it's really a nice empathetic way of trying to have a mental model of where is the user right now, not only where they are, but what state of mind they're in.
Yeah, this is what we all aspire to do in search, putting the customer at the center and optimizing towards searcher intent. But again, we're taking all of these searcher intent and expecting Google to do all of the lifting for those. And that's sort of a naive way to look at it. Google is not always the most efficient or most effective or best way to find information and complete certain types of tasks. There are other places that are better suited, and people know that now.
From all of these, where would you say, Heather, that you're most surprised that this is actually a good place to to optimize for? I mean, it's like Walmart's internal search engine or Apple App Store. I mean, of course, every case is different, but some of these are probably surprising to some people.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm looking through the list there. We can optimize or strategize in most of these platforms, but we can't quite optimize for Google Earth just yet. We don't know what's in there, and that's not really the kind of stuff we would go after. But maybe it presents native content or media or social or partnership opportunities. It doesn't always have to be SEO and content just to reach people where they search. But most of these we should be able to influence or incorporate into a brand's marketing strategy in some way.
Yeah, I just saw here one of these Twitch, for instance. I have somebody very close who's working in the gaming industry, and this is just the channel to be in if you want to get bidding in the betting industry. This is a great place. Actually, this is like a main channel to get new signups. So so that's it's definitely worth diving into what each of these platforms or channels can do for you.
Yeah, and even if you're not using them to market on, you can also use them to gather insights, right? So just because you can't necessarily optimize for Twitch today, I don't know if you can or not, but you can learn a lot about how people behave and what they think by how they're engaging with each other and with that platform. That's insightful information too. Even if I'm not deciding to optimize for Amazon, maybe the brand doesn't exist on Amazon, I can still mine Amazon content and product ratings and reviews to better understand the kinds of problems people have and what they might search for to find them. So for example, we worked on a diaper brand, a major diaper brand, and we looked at their competitors across retailers, and we found this really interesting thing that their competitors were getting reviews about a chemical smell when you open the package of diapers. And if you're a concerned parent, that's pretty alarming to get a chemical smell when you open your baby's diapers. So that was just a really interesting learning for that search journey that was just a non-traditional way to find it, but it was very helpful to answering questions and writing content on our product detail page, addressing parents' concerns about this chemical smell, because our product did not have that chemical smell. So we were able to exploit that advantage in our own copy and our own searchable content.
Oh, excellent. What do you have a practical way? I mean, are you extracting all these user data and putting it into some AI tool to get this knowledge, or how does it work?
I remember the days of doing this manually. AI has been quite a help in this case. But yeah, like the way we would typically go about this, if budget allows and time allows, we'd love to be able to scrape reviews or ratings, or at least manually pull them, and then be able to analyze it either by cataloging data manually or using an AI tool. Like we could feed it in there and just query the information we're seeing. What do people say about this? Did you see any interesting complaints about our competitors? Things like that. So it's a good way to accelerate it when it used to be very manual, just pouring through it and reading every review and seeing what we can find.
Yeah.
It'll be easier to spot patterns this way.
Oh, that's super interesting. I guess also that this it's a way to show the clients everything which is available, but with this budget you can go this far. But we know what's out there if this starts to get traction, and we can actually like mapping out the rest of where users the rest of the user behavior out there.
I think clients it's easy for them to get overwhelmed when we provide a giant laundry list of SEO recommendations or any other marketing recommendations. I imagine that's very overwhelming and kind of hard to grab onto anything and know where to start. So I like your point that, showing them the world of possibilities and then helping them narrow into the one that's right for them right now is a very valuable service that we can provide. I think it shows the client that we are willing to prioritize. We're not just throwing things at the wall and hoping they stick. We're selective and intentional and strategic about where we put their marketing dollars and their energy to be the most effective. We know we can get to those other channels or platforms later, but we want to win tangibly, provably right here.
Yeah. And it also just makes sense that, I mean, to make the best marketing mix for your budget, you also need to know what is actually what is the game, where can you play, right? I mean, that's
where can you play?
Where can you actually play? And I think we think very traditionally of what are we used to, where we used to go, and we should definitely try to broaden our perspective of universal search to really understand also the new opportunities which arise, which just keeps coming.
Yeah, in the future, we are not just SEOs, we are not just Google experts, we're not technical exclusively. I think the future of search careers is more diversified, more of a mindset than a platform. And like you said, universal search, where it's a combination of different elements and experiences, that's what our future looks like. We would be wise to broaden our horizons and think a little bit differently about search to future-proof our jobs in this industry.
Yeah, I think actually that's a great way to round up this session, because we have traditionally been SEOs, but we also need to develop in a way which fits with what users want, and it's SEO is a much broader definition than what it used to be, so that's a good point to make about this. Do you have any final thoughts here? I mean, we went through your process of doing search journey mapping. We dived a little bit into the customer journey mapping method. There were definitely some similar points here. I could actually see that your method is a way for me to get further into the customer journey insights here. So that's very helpful. And then we also discussed what are actually the places to search, and what is the role of the SEO in the future.
Mm.
So do you think you have anything to add here at the end of this session?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of really hard work to make things this simple. But I think that the work is worth it, because when you do the work to distill your data into a clear, actionable story like this, you end up with this more holistic and human way to think about search that puts our customer at the center, which is what all of us search professionals are striving to do. It's a useful thing for helping a client prioritize where to play and knowing how to connect with their customers. It gives you an easier way to talk about your work and keep our work relevant in the larger marketing context, even as our industry is changing. And it's, in my opinion, a more sophisticated and smarter way to make search work harder within this changing digital landscape. So I hope that everybody who's watching this today got something interesting and useful out of it and can go apply something like this, some strategic thinking or a search journey map, to your clients. I think we need to elevate our industry, and this is just one of many tools to do that.
Perfect. Well, thanks a lot, Heather, for this finale, these final thoughts. I will just end the stream here for everyone. Thank you for joining, and if you could just stay on, Heather, don't go away. And then